I'm Dr. Gail Drus, and this is the entrance to the St. Francis Watershed Trail. This trail is intended not only for recreational purposes, but it's actually quite important for educational purposes on campus. So intro biology and advanced botany use this trail heavily for plant collection, and we bring a lot of local partners here to give them tours. We do give tours of individuals involved with the NOAA Be Wet program. I have brought people from off campus from the Crescent Business and Professional Women's Foundation. It's a very nice local area, and it shows the effects of human disturbance and forest regeneration. So we've already seen an example of what a disturbed area looks like, and we're going to be going into a secondary succession area. So this is going to be an early succession. Succession is when plant communities are disturbed and then they regrow. And they start with small plants, and over time the plants get larger and larger. So we're going to see smaller plants reaching towards the light, and then as we go into the forest, as larger species take over, there will be less in the understory. There's some apple trees somewhere in here. I wanted to find them. We're standing at edge habitat where there was once an apple orchard. So over 100 years ago, apples were grown in this area, and as the area was left alone, these understory species came in. Native species like this hawthorn here came in. It's related to the apple, so if you were to compare the leaves, you would see very little difference. But this is a very high quality edge habitat. You tend to find a lot of birds here that come in and utilize this edge habitat. As we go further into the forest, you'll start to see how the canopy closes, but you can see how there is some empty space here, some more sunlight reaching the ground, and this is showing the process of regeneration. We're standing in an early to middle successional forest, so we see a lot of maple, some ash, and maybe a little bit of locust from here to here. The ash population has declined in recent years due to the invasive emerald ash borer that has been introducing diseases causing the trees to die off. So primarily the overstory is made of maples in this area, but you can see how the understory is starting to thin out as the light becomes less available for plants in the understory. As we walk deeper into the forest, you'll notice that there's more open space. As the larger trees begin to take over, they take the light from the smaller trees. So the understory starts to die out, and it starts to be dominated in the overstory by oaks and maples and chestnuts and longer-lived larger plant species. As we've traveled down the St. Francis Watershed Trail, it becomes apparent why the trail is named this way. It's a part of the catchment basement for Lake St. Francis. As you can see, all of the different areas on this trail have started to catch water in the stream, and the stream will eventually end at Lake St. Francis. Ow! This is an example of a really bad invasive species. So this is multiflora rose. It's covered in thorns. It does provide really beautiful primitive rose-like flowers with a beautiful scent, but it just takes over everything, and it produces rose hips with lots of seeds, and it will reproduce through root fragments, and it's taking over a considerable amount of the Watershed Trail. This is an example of a local plant that has kind of a fun name. They call it touch-me-not. It's Impatiens capensis, and the reason they call it touch-me-not is that if you touch the pods, they explode. And this is a type of seed dispersal called ballistic seed dispersal. As we get towards the bottom of the Watershed Trail, we start to see an interesting mix of chestnut and eastern hemlock, which is the Pennsylvania state tree. We've got some maples mixed in, and it's just a really different environment than what we saw up towards the top of the trail. So there's been a moisture gradient as we go from the top of the catchment to the bottom, where the soil becomes more saturated the closer we get to Lake St. Francis. This beautiful plant here that produces gorgeous purple flowers is actually an invasive plant called periwinkle. A few years ago, our advanced botany students did a removal project, and not only has it come back, it's spread further. This is autumn olive. It's an invasive that you tend to find in riparian areas. You can tell you've got it because of the lanceolate leaves, the darker green on top and the silvery green on the bottom. And it has little red berries. These berries are actually edible, and they taste a little bit like cranberry and pomegranate. But don't go around eating random berries if you don't know what they are. Welcome to the end of the Lake St. Francis Watershed Trail. So this is the catchment area for the entire water runoff from the university. So we walked through the entire Watershed Trail as we went from the top to the bottom.